coming to you live from the Sportaholics studios. I'm the host, Russ. That's the expert right there, Peyton, and welcome to another weekend with us. I hope you guys are having an amazing time at home, and we just want to take the time out to say thank you for joining us on this lovely Friday evening. Peyton, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good, man.
Good.
I cannot wait to try this Evan Williams peach. You know how much we like the Evan Williams apple. Maybe the peach tops it.
Okay, we're going to find out today after we take our first sip. But until then, you guys, if you have not already, please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share on this video and our channel as well on YouTube at The Sportaholics. That's THEE Sportaholics, as well as follow us on Instagram and X at The Sportaholics as well. We love to continue the conversation with you guys. Let us know what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and how we doing. Let us know how we doing, man. We need some people to talk to, and looking forward to hearing your guys' input. So, like you said, before we jumping into that Evan Williams peach today, Peyton, let them know a little bit about it. What we got going on?
We're always going to talk about the description, although there was only one word change, but I'm going to still read it out, okay? Because we've got Evan Williams Peach, and it's Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey blended with peach liqueur and caramel color.
Love that, love that. So while he pours us up, you guys go ahead, spread the word. We have a whole show packed for you guys today, and we'll be right back after the first taste. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Here we go, man. Cheers.
I don't know.
I have a feeling.
Okay.
Ready?
You know, while I was tasting that peach, funny story, because I didn't want the peach today, but Peyton talked me into having the peach today.
Hey, Evan Williams has been good to us.
It really has, and I have nothing bad to say about Evan Williams. But I went to Dairy Queen last night, and they have a peach cobbler blizzard.
Oh, that sounds very good.
And I was snacking on that last night, and I think that right there would have been a nice addition to what I had going on already.
Oh yeah, just throw it in there.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
Pour it all over.
For sure. So it's just a crazy coincidence because I was eating Dairy Queen peach cobbler blizzard, and then today we coming back with the Evan Williams peach.
That's an underrated flavor for a blizzard. You don't think about it.
Man, it was amazing, man. It was amazing. Shout out to the people at Dairy Queen. They really hooked it up for me last night, man. I can't lie. I don't go to Dairy Queen too often, but every time I do, I fall in love all over again. So
no, really, if you think about it, even if you went to Jeremiah's or a Twisty Treat, that peach flavor with the ice cream, like, man, that could be good.
So you're a fan of peach flavored things?
I would say it's underrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you. No, every time I have something peach, it reminds me of, like, you know, summertime, springtime, something like that, where you really want to have like a refreshing flavor. You know, so
that makes sense.
Yeah,
but we're mixing it up. We're doing it in the fall.
Oh yeah, I like it. I'm with it. I mean, we're in Florida, so there's no real such thing as fall. So
hey, good point.
Yeah, but moving right along, Peyton, I have a would you rather question for you before we start the show.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Would you rather have LSU wide receivers or Kentucky's guards? As in basketball, would you rather have their guards, point guard, shooting guard, or receivers that come from LSU?
Man, I hope you have a list on your paper. I can think of the LSU receivers. Some of the Kentucky guards off the top of my head, I don't know why this is the first one I thought of, but Malik Monk.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's on the list, but give me some more. De'Aaron Fox.
Okay. All right. So this is what I'll do because I did create a list for you.
Okay.
So in order to make my list, you kind of had to be established. Like, it would have been easy to go with Malik Neighbors and stuff like that. But we're talking those guys. We're talking LSU and Kentucky athletes who've played on the next level. So here we go. For Kentucky, we got John Wall, we got SGA, and we got De'Aaron Fox. All right. For LSU wide receivers, I was able to pick out Juice Landry, Odell Beckham, and Justin Jefferson. Who you taking?
Well, I was just going to add on to the list right there.
I mean, you
because
can.
You didn't mention Jamar Chase
Well, I didn't.
and DJ Chark.
Right. There were so many. Like I really just snagged like the first couple of names that came to mind. And
I'm just getting obnoxious now over my LSU receivers. But
and I kind of when I was coming up with this question, I figured exactly which way you would lean.
Right.
But I'm gonna let you answer the question.
Yeah. And you guys know the answer, but it's still a fun conversation to have.
Yeah.
And those Kentucky guards are real. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, what would you say? I would give him fringe top 10
right now in the league.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say he was in the MVP race last year.
Yeah.
So
but most people would have him higher than that.
Right.
Most people would have him fringe top 5.
It would be hard. Fringe meaning on the outside looking in.
Yeah, right on the border,
Right,
probably on the outside looking in. I didn't love the way he closed against Dallas.
Yeah.
But he's young. He's got time.
They have a hell of a team in OKC.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's young, so we'll see what they bring this year. But as far as the question.
Yeah, because you already know which way I'm leaning, so what about you?
Yeah, so, oh man. And the crazy part about this question is no matter which way you lean, you have people who have influenced the game. I'm not going to say they changed the game, but they've influenced the game. John Wall, he's a different beast. But you could say the same thing for Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson. And Juice Landry, he was more of a possession receiver, but he could hit the home run at any time as well. On the back end of his career, he became a journeyman, but that's neither here nor there, man. So, would I rather have LSU guards, LSU receivers, or Kentucky guards?
If you answer one way, I'm going to convince you the other.
I'm gonna go with LSU receivers.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to convince you.
I'm gonna go with LSU receivers.
Yeah.
But man, you can't go wrong either way.
You can't.
You cannot go wrong either way. So
it's crazy how that's worked out. And shout out to both schools.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
They produce them. They're NFL and NBA factories.
Hey man, I'm not gonna. Do you think LSU is wide receiver U, or would you say Ohio State?
Yeah, that's
is wide
tough.
receiver U?
Again,
because they're known to be wide receiver U at Ohio State.
In a way, you're giving me softballs in the way that you know how I'm going to answer these questions.
Yeah.
But again, it's a good conversation because some Ohio State receivers I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I mean,
so pick
Michael Thomas.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, but. You know what LSU receivers do, man? They just break records.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
And as far as the new kids on the block when it comes to LSU receivers, you got Jamar Chase in there who has already been to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
yeah.
They come in flying, they come in ready. But you can say the same thing. Marvin Harrison Jr. right now is playing lights out.
He is.
So, yeah.
So is Chris Olave. I think leading the league in separation categories.
Chris Olave has been solid for a while now, and he's a great pickup if you guys play fantasy. So if he is not on a team in your league,
scoop him up.
That is one sleeper right there in your league, in your particular league.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Let's move forward, man. That was fun. It
was fun.
I like to start the conversation. You guys, if you're sitting at home, man, let us know who you would take. Would you take LSU wide receivers or would you take Kentucky guards? Which side you choosing? All right. But moving right along, UNLV quarterback. He's leaving the school due to unpaid NIL expenses. What do you have to say about that, Peyton?
Man, my main takeaway for this whole situation is that today's the day where that get off my lawn guy that's been screaming about how NIL is bad for college football. Unfortunately, today, those guys win. Okay, because the difference is the expectation. So 10, 15, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had to worry about this because not everybody in the sport was getting paid. I said not everybody. There's, history, flawed history, if you will, of guys getting paid under the table, but now it's up front.
Yeah.
So that's really the biggest difference for me, just the fact that the expectations have changed, and that's the reason he ended up leaving the school, because he was promised one thing and didn't get another, where the guy that's saying get off my lawn can just say, well, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been a question in the first place. They wouldn't have left their teams. They would have stayed and been loyal. So what say you?
And just like you just said, the get off my lawn guy is right today.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care about the school. I don't care about the stats. This is what happens when money is involved, right? Not only that, but these are young kids. But here's the kicker, right? This is why the NFL has contracts. According to the UNLV quarterback, their contract was verbal. So the agreement that they came to was verbal. That's one thing. You don't agree to a large lump sum of money verbally. Like, you have to get that in writing. You have to get that clear, right? This NIL deal, like I said, was verbal. That's the first red flag. And the NCAA probably telling you that they'll pay this much when you feel like you're worth that much and there's not much negotiation going on. So that's the second red flag right there. Like, in the NFL, you see players holding out all the time because they feel like they're worth so much money and they know exactly what their value is. Like, please don't tell me that you're gonna pay me this to come to your school. Like, I can go somewhere else and I can get that. I'll probably get it faster, and so on and so forth. But this is a crazy landscape that we're sitting in right now when it comes to the NCAA and college football, and not only just college football, NIL in general, all across the board. You know, so I admit that I'm one of those get off the lawn guys, and I don't have anything. I don't feel bad about it at all, but
it's the wild, wild west right now in college football.
It really is.
Hopefully we get some guidelines, some more regulation, and I think that'll be a great help.
Here's the lucky part, though. This kid had a redshirt year. So he transferred. He played 4 years at Holy Cross, but he had a redshirt year to spare. So he played the first 4 games. Okay, fine and dandy, but pulling out right now spared him, and now he's able to use his red shirt year. He's going to take the rest of the season off, so on and so forth. Where he lands next year, who knows? But will anybody with the NIL deal want to pick him up after what's going on right now? Like, his future. What does this say about his future?
Yeah, he was off to a hot start. UNLV was 3-0, and he was playing well.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's a good point by you.
I mean, they were definitely off to a hot start, but man, like, I just don't know what this says about the business of the NCAA right now. And not only that, he probably opened the floodgates. He probably opened the floodgates to a lot of people who haven't received their payments yet, or was promised one thing, and when they got there, something totally different was, lied in front of them. So, man, I don't know what to say about this, man.
I hear you, man. I think you hit it on the head for the most part.
But this is also why the NCAA and the schools are trying to find ways to get the NILs inside of the school, because right now it's third party. So, it's coming from outside companies and outside sources. So if the players were employees of the institution, then it might be a different story. Like,
and it'd be simpler.
Yeah, it will be simpler, but that payment might not be as much. Like, now you have a middleman, and what middlemen want. They want their piece of the pie too. So we'll see where this goes, man.
Yeah,
it's really weird where we are right now.
Yeah, hopefully it gets cleaned up some way.
Some way, somehow, but yep. I'm kind of afraid of where we are right now as far as NIL and the landscape goes. All right, so Peyton, WNBA playoffs, full effect, man.
Yeah.
What's your liking to the WNBA playoffs right now?
So we know that the Liberty and the Aces have already moved on to the second round. Yep. I saw highlights of both games, the Dream versus the Liberty and the Storm versus the Aces. The Dream actually got off to a pretty hot start. Right. Against the Liberty. But then talking about Sabrina, everybody knows about Sabrina. Ionescu.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you pronounce it? Yep. But what about Jonquel Jones and Brianna Stewart as well? They were getting their work done on the inside. I think that's what really sealed the deal. Sabrina had all those points, but Jonquel and Brianna were doing their thing too.
You can throw all of that out. You can throw all that out. You can throw the stats out.
Why? They won, though. Why?
Listen, at the end of the day, there's 2 teams that everybody wants to see in the finals. Now that the playoff field is fixed and set, there's 2 teams that everybody wants to see in the finals.
I'm guessing that the Dream and the Liberty are not one of those 2 teams?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
So everybody wants to see the Fever and Caitlin Clark and the Aces and their squad, right? Like their squad. So they are fully loaded over there. I don't think the Fever will have a chance, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that
they're on the brink of elimination tonight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if they can figure out a way to win this game and then their next game, then they might have a chance to make it to the finals. But Caitlin Clark got a lot of work to do. When it comes to the Aces, I don't see anybody standing in the way of what they have going on. The only way that they lose is if they beat themselves.
Man,
so
you're calling your shot right there.
Hey, listen,
it's not a far shot to call, but it's a shot.
Back to back.
Yeah, I hear you.
Back to back.
You know, speaking of the Aces, they got off to a bit of a slow start against the Storm as well, and then they just rallied behind Asia and Kelsey Plum.
Which good teams do. They figure out ways to win the games.
Yeah. And I know it seems like every time we talk about the WNBA, I want to talk about how the skill level has improved drastically in the past 5 to 10 years. I want to go a little deeper on that because specifically after watching these highlights, I'll say the most impressive thing about the game right now is the women being able to hit those pull-up jumpers and the degree of difficulty of some of these shots, fading left, fading right, fading back. I think if I would have turned on a WNBA game from 10 years ago compared to now, the improvement is drastic.
The one thing I will say that's always been consistent in the WNBA, and I don't watch WNBA enough, and I have to give them more of a look. But what I will say is the passing and the vision on court has always been there. That's one thing. They have ways of finding their teammates on the basketball court that you can compare to the NBA. Yeah. They find ways to get the ball there. And I will say, in the most recent times, the game has gotten it has gotten more physical, and they have gotten stronger over time. So I like where the landscape of the WNBA is right now, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of seasons. I mean, finishing off this season right here, but just seeing how they will grow over time. They've already added one more team, and Portland. They added a team in Portland.
That's right.
So I'm interested to see where they grow in the next couple of years.
I think you're right about the Aces, though. After watching them, real tough, man. They're going to be the toughest out in the whole field.
I mean, they kind of want it, and those girls over there look very hungry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
So
they're trying to cement themselves.
That's where I would take it.
Yeah.
All right. So moving right along. NCAA top 25. What you got for me today, Peyton?
I have a bit of a rant right now.
Oh,
okay.
Let me go ahead. Let me grab my cup. Go ahead, take off. Do you?
So, breaking news, not really. We have a bit of a scheduling problem in college football right now.
What's that?
So I say that because to me, the order in which these teams are ranked, especially in the top 10,
talk about it.
It doesn't matter too much up to this point because we don't know exactly what we have with a lot of these teams. I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to do it to you.
I'm with you.
You ready?
I already know what you're going to say, but I'm with you. Go ahead. Talk about it.
Miami's currently 7th in the AP poll, right? Why aren't they in the top 3? If you're going off of strength of schedule, strength of wins to comparative opponents. I mean, they went... I know Florida hasn't looked great, but they went on the road and took care of business and really dominated that game. Then they did the same thing.
That's the only game that
I was
really
about
mattered.
to say they did the same thing to a USF team that played Alabama into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And Alabama's ranked ahead of Miami.
Okay.
So what are we really going off of? And that's the other thing. I don't think you can go off of the eye test yet because we haven't seen relative levels of competition for all of these teams.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say, well, according to the eye test, Ohio State's the best team in the country. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because their best competition so far has been Marshall. What say you?
So I will say this, the AP and playoff committee and so on and so forth, they're like teachers, and you know what teachers have? They have their favorites. You know, they have those schools or students who, you know, make the class operate a lot smoother because they always do their work and they always show up on time and they have a lot of people who like them inside of the school and so on and so forth. So I feel like Alabama being ahead of Miami, since that's the example that you used, I'll say that happened because Alabama's going to always be consistent, right? Even though they both played USF, Miami blew them out the water, and Alabama struggled against them a little bit. What do the people want?
Yeah.
Right? Only Miami fans want to see Miami do well. And I think that's another reason why they're sitting at number 7. But they have been inching up every week. Every week since the season has started, they have inched up in the top 25. One school that stood out to me in the top 10, I could be wrong right now because it's slipping my mind, but Mississippi.
Yep.
They are sitting at
number 6.
Yeah, sitting at number 6.
It's a great example of a team that hasn't played equal level of competition to this point.
Right, but with that being said, the lowest amount of points that they've scored on all of their opponents has been 40 points. So they're hanging 40 burgers or better on anybody that they're playing.
But I think you could say the same thing about a lot of teams in the top 10. Like Ohio State, Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But I like the fact that most schools are coming out with these big time games, i.e. the Miami and Florida game.
Sure. We need more of that.
And then settling into the lower level schools.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
So
give me a big showcase game week 1.
Yes.
Then we can get those cupcakes out of the way.
Week 1, week 2, I'll take that in the first 2 weeks. But you know, like by week 3, you should really be able to tell exactly who a school is, and that's why I have no problems with the top 3.
Well, I guess my point of the rant being is that the scheduling shouldn't be up to the schools.
Yeah.
Like there should be, and a lot of the college football enthusiasts and people that cover the sport very closely have been talking about this for a long time, that there needs to be a governing body.
Yeah.
There's really not right now. The athletic directors for all the schools set up the scheduling.
Right.
And that's why you have Ohio State. We're sitting here September 25th, and they've beaten every team they've played by 40 plus because I don't know.
They playing lollipop games. So what I will say is, when you schedule games like this, not the lower level schools, but Miami, Florida, I would assume that Miami will play Florida next year at home.
It's either the next year or the year after. It's soon.
But you schedule them for 2 years, so it's
sure.
You get one home, one away when you schedule games like that. So it's kind of hard. Like you only have a certain amount of games, and then you have those 2 money games that you kind of have to play, I guess. I don't know, but you kind of want to have those games where you can win.
Fair.
Outside of conference play.
Fair. So, and there's no preseason.
Right.
So that makes sense.
But we got week 0.
Yeah. Where four games are played. I hear you.
We got week 0. You know, but that goes back to what about making the spring a mini season?
Right.
That'll never happen. But I'm just saying, like,
not a terrible idea.
Man, I would love for a mini season to happen in college football.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like a regional matchup or something like that. Like, play 3 teams in your state.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of competition within the state. Miami could come up to UCF, play USF, play Florida State. Like, there's so many schools that you can play within your state. So I don't see why it couldn't happen, man. But
I guess my biggest gripe is that we don't have the context for how the teams are being ordered.
Yeah.
So if there was a description,
I just told you.
Well,
they got their favorites.
Yeah, I guess so.
They got their favorites.
I guess that's the difference. You can trust Alabama because of their body of work over the past 15 to 20 years, as opposed to Miami, who hasn't been as good over the past 15 to 20 years. I guess that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And I feel like the college playoff committee is going to always favor Alabama because they know that's what's going to sell tickets. You know, and anybody who's sitting on top of Alabama has proven that they deserve to be on top of Alabama, which is the reason why we have the teams that we have in the top 3.
So just for fun, I came up with my own top 5.
Ooh, let's go, Peyton.
And I have context around the list.
Okay, let's go.
Right? So we've got strength of schedule, strength of wins with comparative opponents.
Okay.
So that example we just gave between Miami, UCF, Miami, USF, Alabama, USF.
Yep.
Okay, and then the eye test. So the eye test will be the last piece,
which
isn't 100% into form yet because we don't have the level of competition, but it's still there to some degree.
Right.
Okay, so I do think they have it right with Texas at number 1, right? Because they have the best win on the road against a top 10 team at Michigan, and they have the best combination of offensive line play and quarterback play. Okay, number 2, Miami.
Whew. You think Miami should be number 2 over Georgia?
If I was making the list, yeah.
Over Georgia.
They have a better quarterback.
Give me. Well, man, I'm flattered.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they deserve to be.
Now remember my context.
Now I will say,
Georgia did go out and beat Clemson, but Miami's got the road win at Florida and the road win at USF.
Okay, granted, but who has Georgia played that's comparable to Florida A&M University?
Oh, they had a cupcake in there. They had one.
Okay.
One cupcake in there.
All right, well, I
that's a good point
I would need to go in because, granted, the score will not show you how close of a game that was, but Miami kind of struggled a little bit in the first half against Florida A&M.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're not top 5. You know,
maybe so.
And I doubt that everybody's watching every game, and I'm, you know, it's more of a ballot type selection when they pick these teams that's in the top 25.
Sure.
But man, like.
So they've completely dismantled all of their opponents. I know you just said they struggled against Florida A&M in the first half a little bit, but by the end of the game, the margins were huge.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, they have the best quarterback.
Okay.
And I've been on Cam Ward for a while now. You know that. We don't need to go over that anymore. I got Alabama at number 3. Okay, they have won in convincing fashion.
Wow.
And their talent is being utilized properly by one of the best offensive minds in the sport. Then we have Georgia at number 4.
Wow.
I think struggling against a Kentucky team that really doesn't have an offense right now.
Okay.
That kind of took Georgia down the ranks a bit for me personally.
Yeah, okay.
But we know the talent's there. We know in terms of eye test on their best day, they're arguably the best in the country. But again, if we're going off the context, strength of schedule, comparable wins.
Wow.
Okay, and then at number 5, what about Tennessee? Kind of similar to Miami in that they've taken care of business and handled teams on the road.
Yeah.
I get NC State was a neutral site game technically, but then they went to Oklahoma, handled business.
But Tennessee is ranked at number 5 right now, are they?
Yeah, I think so. So we line up there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go through that quickly. But
no, man, moving Georgia down from number 2. But okay,
they've got a big opportunity this weekend.
But to your point, they know that Georgia's going to sell tickets, so why not have them sitting at number 2? Miami hasn't proven anything over the past couple of years, and when they put them up higher in the ranks, what do they do at the end of the season? They pretty much drop the ball. So why waste it? I guess that's the ultimate question. Why waste having them up sitting at number 2 right now when they could potentially go in and lose the next game? You know, so there's no trust there. There's no trust there.
Even though it's funny that if you look at each schedule, Georgia's got a much tougher schedule than Miami. But to your point, in the past, Miami's faltered at the end of season, so I get that.
Man, you flatter me 100% with your top 5, but I like it though.
By the way, there's some skepticism around Cam Ward for whatever reason, like people unsure if he's like an NFL guy. Maybe those are just crazy people at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think.
Am I missing something? Because when I watch him, I'm like, oh, that's gonna work.
No, those people are crazy.
Okay,
he's definitely an NFL quarterback.
Yeah,
his pocket presence and the way how comfortable he is handling the ball, leading an offense is unworldly and something that I haven't seen at the University of Miami in a while. With that being said, I think the skepticism should be more so the fact that he's at Miami than is he an NFL quarterback. Because no matter what happens at the end, the rest of the season, Lord, please don't let this happen. But, despite injury, he's going to the NFL. No, it might be.
Should be in the first round easily.
One of the top quarterbacks coming off the board for sure.
I see the arm strength. I see the release. I see the velocity. I see the mobility. I see the escapability. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, so
the vision.
I don't want to it's hard to compare him, and it's hard to compare players on the level of I guess the top 25, whatever. Let's go top 10, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to compare players because
different situations.
Exactly. So would you say whose O-line would you say was better, Miami's or Texas O-line?
Texas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy for Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning to sit back there in that pocket and look super comfortable.
Right.
But when you have to escape the pocket every now and then and scramble and make things happen with your legs and throw the ball on the run, that's a different story.
Yeah.
If you're making unworldly passes, off-balance passes, passes running towards the sideline where you dump it in bounds like that, that's a different type of skill set, and honestly, that's one of the skill sets that get you off the board real quick because the teams that's picking first, second, third, they ain't got no O-line.
Exactly.
That's one of the real reasons why
we've seen that with the Bears. We're seeing that with the Commanders.
You took the words right out of my mouth, bro. That's exactly why those players are getting drafted off the board first.
Yeah.
And other players who are more pro-ready. You already talked about the Commanders, but more pro-ready quarterbacks. They're getting chosen later in the draft. So
yeah. Well, and what's your takeaway from the top 25? You got any thoughts on it?
Well, I did. My I guess the one thing that I had to say was about Mississippi. They have blown the lowest point total that they've had was 40 points against any opponent for this whole season. So them falling down and Alabama jumping them. It was just I don't know why, especially in the back of my mind, I watched Alabama struggle against USF. So I'm like, okay, this is a toss up here. I spoke about this openly before. I don't really have too much faith in Alabama this year. While they look good, everybody looks good that's sitting in the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think everybody in the top, I could be wrong, but everybody in the top 15 might be 4-0 right now. It might be 13, something like that.
I think it's the top 11 or 12.
Okay.
But to your point, yeah.
Everybody's
looking good.
They're all looking good. So if we want to really nitpick, I think for me that would have been I like Mississippi over USF as well. And to your point, Miami manhandled USF and Alabama struggled against them. So why isn't Miami a little bit higher than Alabama? So that was my only takeaway from the top 25 was the Mississippi placement. And I don't think that there should have been much of a change in the top 7.
Yeah.
Top 8.
Top 7, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So all right.
Yeah, so there's really one game to look at this. That's where we were going, right?
Okay, yes.
Oh,
what's the game to look at this weekend?
On Saturday, 7:30, Georgia at Alabama. And this is the biggest test of the season thus far, right?
Yes.
I mean, we did have that Texas-Michigan game, and Michigan bounced back with a nice win against USC, but this is a top 5 matchup.
So I told you earlier today, I'm looking at week 8.
Yeah, fair. That's a good one.
And regardless of what happens this weekend, week 8 will still be an amazing weekend.
No doubt.
Still be an amazing weekend when you got Georgia, Texas, and then Alabama and Tennessee.
Awesome.
Man, it's a lot of good football. We're getting into the thick of it right now. We're really getting into the thick of it right now. And I'm pretty excited for these games. I was kind of yawning a little bit because everybody was getting blown out.
Right.
I didn't know where to put my money, to be honest with you, So, but yeah, man, that's it. And I'm looking forward to the upcoming weeks. We're getting into conference play here shortly. So,
what do you got for Alabama, Georgia?
So you want me to pick?
Well, you don't have, because actually I'm going to go through the game, but I'm not going to pick because I just want to watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
But do you have any initial thoughts on it, on the matchup?
I don't.
Okay.
But what I will say is I don't trust Alabama right now. And if they find a way to come out and win this game against Georgia, then maybe I might raise an eyebrow or two. But Kirby Smart has found his grounding in Georgia. He's been there for a while DeBoer has just gotten there, and he's basically in a new office, new system, and still learning plays. There's probably some players on his team he don't know their name yet. So that. For me, I would, if I had to pick, I would pick Georgia. Who's the favorite?
I was about to tell you, Georgia's a 2.5-point favorite. May have moved up to 3. I haven't checked in a day or two, but it came out at 2.5. So there you go, and they're on the road.
Yeah, I think it's based off comfortability when it comes to why Georgia is the favorite there. Can Alabama come out and prove them wrong? Sure. Do I think they're gonna prove them wrong? Probably not.
I hear you.
Probably not. But it's not a bad loss to have. That doesn't knock you out of playoff contention.
Exactly.
That win right there. I mean, that loss right there doesn't knock you off your stable or your high horse at all. So that's something you can learn from, and more than likely will make them stronger in the future of the season. So
yeah. So when these two played 10 months ago in the conference championship game, it was a pretty evenly matched game.
Okay.
When you're talking about total yardage, each team had slightly over 300 yards. Also, the key point, each team averaged less than 3 yards a carry.
Wow.
So to me, that's what you can expect when you've got these top-level teams playing each other, even at the college level. They're going to stop the run and make the quarterback beat them.
Yeah.
Especially in the SEC. So that's what I'm looking for. Alabama has a little bit more of an offensive identity than Georgia right now.
Yeah.
With Milroe carrying the ball, design quarterback runs, all of those things, and he is pretty electric when he gets rolling.
Okay.
Georgia's offense, on the other hand, has had a rough time, especially against Kentucky. So there's a slight edge for Alabama there, but I think the reason Georgia's favored in this one is because of their defense. But no surprise there, right? I mean, they just put a bunch of players into the draft. They got more coming.
I'm just a bit of a hater when it comes to Alabama, man. They had their time. It's time for them to go ahead and sip some Gatorade on the sideline and watch everybody else ball out. Like that's just really how I feel. Same thing with Georgia. By all means, I'm not huge on Georgia as well. I feel like they've been pretty top tier over the last couple of seasons. And, Kirby Smart got his championship.
Yeah. His 2.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
His 2 championships.
No, I hear you.
So
okay, so I like it. You're going with Georgia. I'm not going to pick it, but I am going to give out a pick for this week. I got to see my – Well, It's one of those games where
go.
If I had a side, I wouldn't enjoy the game as much because, I just want to watch it.
So what's your pick? I mean, what are you?
Okay,
What's your pick
so
for
I
this
want to
week?
go with Kansas State.
Okay,
over Oklahoma State. Russ is like, all right, let's move on to the next thing, which I don't blame you for. We've killed college football at this point.
Man,
but no, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Kansas State's laying 4.5. They're hosting Oklahoma State. That's what I would go with.
All right, so what's next? What's next on the docket?
So we got the NFL.
Okay.
We're moving to the NFL, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay,
but
let's go ahead and talk about surprises so far in the NFL.
Right.
What is? I'll start. I'll start here. All right, so my biggest surprises in the NFL would be Pittsburgh, and I went with 3 teams here: Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Washington. I think those 3 teams, nobody. If we go back to the preseason and we look at all the talking heads and everything that they had to say about those teams in the preseason, nobody's selecting them to be where they are today. Pittsburgh and Minnesota, they're sitting at 3-0. Washington, they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
So, man,
that's a great point.
Man, I the reason why I like these teams, one, when I picked Washington, I was thinking about you. I was like, man, this man did predict that Jaden Daniels would be something special when it came to NFL play, and he's actually showing it right now. And then another reason why I picked Washington is because the cornerback from the Bengals, Britt Taylor, he was like, Jaden Daniels he's in a mediocre offense. They do college stuff, and they don't make him do too much. And to win the game, what does Jaden Daniels come out and do? Evade a sack and throw the ball, 40 yards down the field to the back of the end zone for a touchdown.
Man,
in a perfect pocket.
I like Cam Taylor-Britt, but let's go 1 week without trash talking the competition and downplaying everybody.
Exactly.
Let's get a win first.
Yes, Matt. And it's crazy that you say that because Uncle Shannon Sharp called them boys out, and they was like, man, when did the Bengals start talking so much trash? And yes, when they started talking trash? When they really started talking trash? When they started drafting players from LSU.
Oh, geez. Shots fired.
But in all seriousness though, man, for sure, I agree with you, bro. They need to really stop talking about the opponents and figure out ways to get it within themselves and come out with a victory, because right now they are looking very bad.
Yeah.
They're looking very bad.
They got the Panthers this week, so we'll see. And the Panthers just played really well.
Come on now.
They're at home.
The Panthers are doing like this, and the Bengals are,
teetering. Well, I don't even know if that's the right word.
They're at the ground floor right now, so they can't really go down unless you put them in the basement. So, by all means. But as far as Pittsburgh go, man, I've been said this. I've been a fan of Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
I would not have expected them to be 3-0 right now. But I will say I love what's happening. That defense is crazy, bro. And I'm gonna talk about them a little bit later. But that defense is ridiculous. And we know that because of Mike Tomlin and his mindset and how he plays football. So, and it's worked for the past how many ever years Mike Tomlin has been a head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Coming up on 20.
And then also, just to touch on Minnesota a bit. Minnesota, man, we were just talking about how Sam Darnold was in the dumps, and he's looking, I think he might be top 8 right now in the league at quarterback. So
what can coaching do for you, man? Kevin O'Connell.
Man. Yeah. So those are my top 3 surprises. What do you have?
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of you a little bit, because if you look at the NFC standings right now, all of the division leaders were projected and or picked to be either 3rd or 4th in their division.
Yeah.
Like between Washington for the NFC East, the Saints for the NFC South, the Vikings for the NFC North, the Seahawks for the NFC West. So it's a relatively small sample size because we're coming up on week 4, but still, those teams are making their names known. They're making their statements, and that's why we love the NFL. There's parity every year.
And that's one of the main reasons why I chose to give all of my teams their flowers today, because I don't know if that's going to continue out throughout the whole season. Like you said, most of those teams were predicted to finish third or last in their division. So I just want, while they're balling out right now and everybody else who had high hopes, Cincy, Jacksonville.
I'm going to talk about them later, by the way. But go ahead.
So like, while those teams have been in the dumps, I think why not give love to the teams who have been balling out and showing that they belong?
For sure.
Yeah. So
real quick, I just want to ask you. You can be real quick with it.
Yep.
Between those 4 teams I just named, if you had to pick one to eventually win the division.
Yeah.
So between the Commanders in the NFC East, the Saints in the South, the Vikings in the North, and the Seahawks in the West.
Man. One team to win the division. Something in me is saying the Saints, but the Saints have to go through Tampa.
Yep.
And Tampa's looking pretty good. Washington has to go through Philly.
Yeah.
Philly's looking pretty good.
Yep. Minnesota plays Green Bay this weekend. That's 3-0 versus 2-1.
Right.
And Jordan Love might be coming back.
So if I had to pick a team, I think my safe bet would probably be the Seahawks.
They are 2 games up on everyone in that division, so that's not a bad bet.
I think my team would definitely be the Seahawks.
Yeah, they're tough.
And they're just proving it. And before the season even started, I thought that the Seahawks would have a bounce back year this year. So did I have them in the playoffs? I wouldn't say that, but because we did our playoff bracket, I didn't have them in the playoffs.
Me either.
So. Right now, where we stand, I'm gonna take the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
But Minnesota is a close second.
Okay, Minnesota on hold.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
To the point where I'm not biased, I'm gonna go with the Commanders.
Okay.
Because I was going to go with the Saints.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a real impressive win Monday night against the Bengals.
For sure.
So the way they did it, the fashion in which they went about it, I haven't looked at their schedule yet, but yeah, I'll go with the Commanders.
It was better than that other Monday night game we had.
Oh, shit. Yeah. It's a good thing we had 2 of them on.
The one we covered live.
Yeah, hey, it's a good thing we were covering it in the beginning. Because,
oh, man, that was crazy.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's move on, man. Let's move on to some fun stuff, man.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Let's do some fun stuff. All right, so this next segment is called Pick and Play. This is where we choose 3 components of the game of football, and we decide on athletes and defenses that's gonna have big weekends. So I'll start. So as far as that goes, my quarterback for the week that I expect to have a big weekend. And they say if you can't beat them, join them. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is a game where Aaron Rodgers can build the offense up. They're playing the Denver Broncos. This is a game where he can kind of corral those guys. Like in the last game, they had a couple drops in the game and so on and so forth. But I think that just like he has been doing, he can spread the ball around. And while the Broncos seem a little lost in their organization, I can expect big things from Aaron Rodgers this game.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's something that, and Aaron Rodgers, honestly, he's been looking good, and
we'll see if he can keep it up.
I'm expecting that to continue in this game for sure.
Just for a little tidbit in that game,
300 plus.
300 plus?
Mm-hmm. 300 plus yards.
Oh yeah, okay, because he hasn't done that in a while.
Right.
Pat Surtain, the cornerback for the Broncos, has been playing real well lately. It'll be interesting to see if he follows Garrett Wilson, and I just want to watch that matchup, just as a fun tidbit.
Yeah,
my quarterback would be Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Because I saw a lot from him last week, missing those weapons like Debo, like CMC, like George Kittle. Even in a loss, he's still put on quite a display. On the move, from the pocket, he was really doing it all. And we don't talk about him that much, so I expect a big week from him against the Patriots.
Peyton. You my guy, man. You know you my guy for a real reason.
Hey, you're my guy too. What up?
You know why I say you my guy? Because for my weapon of choice, I chose a receiver.
Okay.
And that receiver happens to be Jawan Jennings.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So coming off the back of a 3-touchdown game in which they lost, he needs to keep this momentum up in order for them to win and have a chance to win. Moving forward, and just like everybody else in the league, they have members of their unit limping around the sidelines as well. So he proved that he can be that big play receiver for them when they needed one. And in order for that to happen, I can see that same, maybe not 3 touchdowns this week, but I can see him stepping up big. I will give him, let's go 110.
Okay.
110 in receiving yards this week, especially if you're predicting Brock Purdy to have a big game.
No doubt.
So, yeah.
So I'll go to my weapon. How about halfback Kyron Williams for the Rams?
Oh, Peyton, you my guy, bro.
Yeah,
you are my guy, bro. Let's go talk about it.
So what's crazy is he's averaging only 3 yards a carry so far this season.
Yeah.
And the Rams are at the Bears this weekend.
Yep.
I think Sean McVay is always creative in how he can get to the run game.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing a big game from him. There's no way that 3 yards a carry is going to hold up.
Yeah.
I see him having a showcase game, maybe even getting a couple of touchdowns. And we already know, we've talked about how good of a running back he is. Mm-hmm. He puts it on display.
Hey, man, I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. But with that being said, I'm going to move on to the defense.
Yep.
The defense, and I foreshadowed this a little bit earlier if you guys were paying attention to the stream here. But my defense for this week would be the Steelers defense.
Ooh.
All right, it's scary how good this defense is. They have 7 players with double-digit tackles through 3 games. They're averaging more than 1 interception per game. And I'm looking for them to show up and show out against the Colts, a young Colts team this Sunday.
Yeah.
So I like.
That's a good pick.
I can see them dominating. And yeah, the Colts are pretty athletic on the offensive side of the ball. They got Anthony Richardson. They got JT back there. They got Alec Pierce at wide receiver, so on and so forth. The list goes on. But I think the Steelers show up and show out this week.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
And if they do, they might be headed towards some records.
Yeah.
Because they're only giving up 8 to 9 points a game so far.
Yep.
We're already to week 4. The Colts have struggled some offensively. So I love that pick. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints on defense.
Okay.
Because last week, even though the Eagles only scored 15 points, the Saints gave up over 400 yards of total offense. And the Saints are playing the Falcons this week.
Yeah.
When these two teams played last year in Atlanta, the Falcons ran roughshod over them. I'm looking for the Saints to be committed to stopping the run, especially against one of the most that payback against one of the most dynamic running backs in the league in Bijan. That's got to be priority 1, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a chance if he's running wild.
Right.
So.
Right. 100%. And not only that, but they got to put some pressure on the quarterback. You already know that you have
Cam Jordan, Chase Young.
Still rehabbing Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's out the water yet. But with that being said, I think you need to put some pressure on him and show that he's mobile enough to get out the pocket, escape the pocket, and make things happen on the move. So if that defensive line can get some pressure on that quarterback when they shut down Bijan Robinson and they force the Falcons to throw the ball, if Kirk Cousins, regardless if Bijan Robinson is moving up and down the field on those guys, if they can't put pressure on the quarterback, we know that the Falcons have weapons on the outside. So, that's a good pick, man. I like it.
What's next?
All right, so right now we're going to move into our section called Under Pressure. This is where we choose teams that have the most pressure to win a game this week. And Peyton, I'm going to let you go ahead and take that off. I'm gonna let you take first.
For sure, man. So there's really two teams I'm thinking of to start.
Watch this. Go ahead.
Well, you already know what they are because
I'm listening.
There was a precursor.
Okay.
Earlier, about 2, 3, 4 minutes ago.
Okay.
Now I just want to surprise you a little bit right now, Russ,
okay, go ahead.
Because I was looking at the odds market today, and I was looking at some team futures.
Okay.
And, odds to make the playoffs. And we've already gotten 3 weeks into the season, right?
Yep.
Did you know that some of these teams that I'm about to name have worse odds to make the playoffs than the Bengals and Jaguars.
Oh.
Who are both 0-3, combined 0-6.
Okay, I can see that happening, but go ahead.
Yeah. So we got the Browns who beat the Jags straight up.
Okay.
We got the Broncos who just had a resounding win at Tampa. We got the Giants who also just had a resounding win at Cleveland. And how about the Rams, only slightly better odds to make the playoffs than the Bengals and Jags, who are a combined 0-6.
Right.
So all I'm saying is the odds market is telling you the season's not over yet.
Okay.
And I'm going to die on the stake for both of those teams, and for obvious reasons. The Bengals have Burrow and Chase.
Yep.
I've been a big Trevor Lawrence believer for a while now. Everyone's bailing on him. I'm going to die on the stake here and say that Doug Peterson figures something out with the Jags offense. Mm-hmm. And there are some things I see, but I don't want to bore you guys with that. All I'm saying is I'm dying on the stake. I'm sticking with Trevor Lawrence. I think by season's end, he still cements himself as a good to great quarterback in this league.
Okay.
Even after the 0-3 start.
Well,
I said I'm dying on the stake. Everyone's bailing, right? I'll stand on this island.
Listen, I'm going to be waving to you on that island from my cruise ship.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go ahead and...
What's the movie?
Castaway?
Yeah, there you go. I'll be Tom Hanks.
Yeah. No, so all right. So
yeah,
my team that's under pressure is really any team without a win. But
Okay.
if I had to choose, I'm going to go ahead and pick Cincy and Jacksonville. They need wins.
Right.
And the only so I'm not bailing on them. I'm just joking when I say I'm going to be waving. But what I will say, just like you, the reason why I feel like they have the most pressure is because they need to get their first win to get that pressure off of their back. Right? So that's the only reason why I say that. I'm not saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying at all. But they need to understand or figure out how to win a game right now. They can't fall to 0-4. It's a long season, but you can't go a quarter of the season without a win. You cannot go a quarter of the season without a win. On paper, these teams are strapped with weapons, and they should be winning games. They should be winning games. What the issue is, I have no idea. And we know that it's not whatever they have on paper is not translating to the field. Will this continue? Who knows?
We'll find out.
Yeah, who knows?
Find out. The Jags have the tougher test as they go into Houston. We already talked about how Cincy plays the Panthers. There's no easy test in the NFL, but there you go.
So you mentioned, right, you can't.
Slam that glass.
Damn it, you can't lose to the Carolina Panthers.
No, you can't.
You cannot lose.
Hey, Cam Taylor-Britt should just, at this point, he should just be thinking, you know what, I'm going to keep my mouth shut just because it's been a bad omen for us. Listen, at least for 1 week, right?
Yeah, and you know how superstitious football is, right? So he did what he did. It didn't turn into a W for him. Maybe he should try something different. Maybe he should switch the lucky rabbit's foot to the other hand. Whatever the case may be. Yeah. Now, I've heard mummers in the sports world about benching Trevor Lawrence for Mac Jones.
Wow.
How would you feel about that?
I guess I would die on the island.
Oh man. So you're leaving Trevor Lawrence in there and letting Mac Jones stay on the sideline.
That's what I would do.
Okay.
You just paid him. At some point, you've got to see it through. I still see some strengths. There are obviously some weaknesses that the Jags coaching staff needs to address.
Yep.
But if you accentuate those strengths, I'm not going to get into it, but I still see some things.
Paying him means nothing to me. Paying him means nothing to me when you're trying to win ball games, right?
Okay.
I said that Kirk Cousins should be on the bench and Michael Penix should be the starting quarterback, and they just paid him a healthy amount of money.
And Trevor's getting paid way more than that.
So by all means, what I'm saying is, like, I would throw him out there, see what he does.
Yeah.
And let the old Sunshine sit on the sideline and figure his life out. And because there's nothing better than an attitude adjustment of sitting on the sideline. Like when you sit on that sideline,
humbled.
Come on, Peyton. Like when you sitting on the sideline, you like, man, I don't care what happens. When I get back in there, I'm gonna go hit somebody. I'm gonna go hit some. When I get back in there, I'm gonna run the ball. I'm gonna throw the ball. It's gonna be accurate, and I'm gonna show them exactly who I am. So a little time on the sideline ain't never hurt nobody. I ain't say bench him for the rest of the season.
Bro,
put Mac Jones in there and let him mess up, and then, all right, come here, Mac. Get back out there, Trevor.
Hey, man. There's a reason you played college football because the point you just made, I love, right?
Bro.
And I'll get into Trevor Lawrence a little bit right now.
Yeah.
I want to see him try to play more, and I'm not comparing the two because they're obviously different talent levels. I'm just saying I want to see the style of play a little bit more like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Rather than a guy that's spinning in the pocket when there's no pressure there, a little worried about taking a hit because he's got injuries from last year.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. And the first thing you said was, when I get benched and I go back in there, the first thing I want to do is hit somebody because that's the nature of the sport anyway, right? So beautiful point by you.
After you get pulled, you can get pulled out of game for a penalty. If you jump off sides, when you get out that game and you get back in that game, you're like, man, I'm gonna be a little bit late, but guess what? I'm not jumping off sides no more. I promise you, I'm not gonna jump off sides. So a little time on the sideline kind of gets your head right a little bit. So
fair. And if they do go 0-4, you're going to hear that for sure. So another good point by you, bringing it up.
They're already whispering it.
Yeah.
Mac Jones.
Oh no.
Mac Jones. Who? Mac Jones. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to our coach 'em section of the episode. So if you guys don't know what the coach 'em up section is, this is where we take a team and we coach them up to a victory for the next week. So since Peyton wants me to go ahead and start, I'm going to go ahead and start. So my team, and this is why I said that you're my guy, Peyton, and I hate the fact that we agree on so many things. And
why is that a bad thing, bro?
It's not a bad thing, but I really wish that we were
a little more competitive?
Yeah, a little bit.
We'll get there. We'll find something.
A little bit
to be a little more competitive
But,
about.
and we don't plan these shows together, by the way. So, like, we come up with our own ideas. So, just because our minds are in the same place, like, hey, listen. But my team for the week, the LA Rams.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go ahead and coach up the LA Rams. The Bears are favored here, right? And we've seen how their play has been not
up and down.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, with this game, this is where they need to figure out exactly who they will be moving forward. And the only way that they're going to figure out who they will be is by giving Kyron Williams the ball. All right? This is a guy who led your offense last year, and nobody expected Kyron Williams to have the season that he had last year, but he's still that same guy. He's a powerful runner, quick runner. He kind of reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew, Warwick Dunn, those small but mighty backs, right? And not only were they powerful, but they were also quick off the cut.
Yeah.
So
and they got skinny through the hole.
Exactly. So this is something that I think that they need to go ahead and nail down.
Sure.
The run game in particular. When it comes to the passing game, I think Matt Stafford needs to look to his tight ends a little bit more because they're not really getting that much love. But they also have, and the name is slipping me, forgive me right now, but they have that one receiver on the outside who has been making plays in the meantime. So
it's slipping me too.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. So, but it's all good. But yeah, number one, lean on your running back. One, that's how you manage games if you can establish the run. Two, I think the Bears are in a bad spot right here, and they are favored. I think they're a 2.5-point favorite.
You're right about that.
And I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams.
Shoot, we're aligned again.
Yeah.
We do need to find some things to be competitive about because I really like the Rams in that spot too.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams to cover that.
Yeah.
And they might win outright, to be honest with you, if they come out and play the way that they should play.
Absolutely.
But that Bears defense is strong. That Bears defense is strong. But they haven't put up a showing like they did in week 1. since week 1. So we'll see what happens. That's what I got, Peyton. Who you coaching up this week?
I'm coaching up this guy's team, the Miami Dolphins, on Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans.
Let me lean in a little bit here. I'm listening really closely because I got a direct connect to Miami, so I wanna hear what you have to say so I can tell them. I don't have a direct connect to Miami, by the way. Go ahead.
This is what I'll say, man. Like, if I'm a Miami Dolphin right now, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, I gotta hold down the fort. Between Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey, David Long, that middle linebacker I like. There's got to be a us against the world mentality right now, and that, look, our first string guy's down, our second string guy went down. Let's just go win the game for our team. Shoot, let's score some points, even though we're on the defensive side of the ball. We've got some great players on this side of the ball. Let's go out and show the world that we can be one of the best defenses in the league, because personnel-wise, that I've already name-dropped all those guys that I like. So that's what I'm looking for on a Monday night. Well, it's not a standalone game because, again, there are 2 Monday night games, but it's a night game. It's going to be at home.
With that being said, man, Peyton, I think this is where I'm gonna get combative with you.
Oh shoot!
Because it's hard as it's easy to say from sitting from these chairs.
Right.
They need to go out and score points as a defense, but that's why it don't happen every week. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. It's hard on defense to take the ball away. You know, we got lucky when we played the Jags and Travis Etienne fumbled the ball in the end zone. So man, bro, like I would love to say, man, you make a great point, but that's not the case for the Dolphins. Like, the defense, yes, they need to tighten up, but if we're relying on the defense to score points, we're already out there handicapped. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I will say the Titans are going to play a desperate brand of football too, because they haven't gotten a win.
And we can't play desperate because we have nobody to play desperate with.
I wish I could combat you more, but I guess I'm just going to stick with my initial point in that
you don't have to, bro. Like,
they've got to step up and represent for the whole team.
To all my Dolphin fans out there, this bud's for you. Because, boy, I don't know, man.
Yeah. That's my Coach 'em Up segment, though, man.
That was a good show, Peyton.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good show, Peyton.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in this Friday night. It's gonna be an exciting weekend of football, man.
Yeah.
Like it always is. Football, it doesn't get old. Every weekend the storyline changes, and questions are answered, questions are created.
Yeah.
So that's really why we live for sports in general.
No doubt.
If you're a true follower of sports, man.
And we got the NBA coming up, by the way.
October.
Yep.
October,
I think training camp probably starts in a week, if I had to guess, or less than that.
Yep. So we gonna be covering all of that as well.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have to figure out a real schedule when it comes to basketball.
That's what I was thinking, because if we're spending this much time and all we got is football and WNBA.
The Sportaholics coming to you every day during basketball season.
Yeah.
No, but we'll definitely figure that out, man. But Peyton, anything you got to tell the fans before they tune out?
Again, we just appreciate all the support, and most importantly, let us know what you guys think. We want to hear what your thoughts are, what your comments are, what we can do better as a team. So just appreciate the support.
Yeah, 100%, man. And if you are not already, smash that subscribe button. If you did that already, I appreciate you. But tell a friend, and tell that friend to tell another friend. All right, so with that being said, for Peyton and myself, we are the Sportaholics. Until next time, man, we'll catch y'all. Have a great weekend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.